Chapter 21. King's daughters as wives. There are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. John 21:25. There are probably as many unrecorded events during the 3-year ministry of Christ as there were during his youth. We don't have any of the original manuscripts of his ministry. Some events in the life of Christ can be gleaned from ancient prophets, and their fulfillment is recorded in the New Testament. For instance, Isaiah talked about the Messiah, or Christ, a king, when he said, "Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, and that he should sit upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever." Isaiah 9:7. We read that once when Jesus came into Jerusalem, some of the people recognized him in this kingly position that both Isaiah and Zechariah had earlier described. "Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just, and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass. Zech 9:9. Jesus came riding into Jerusalem riding upon an ass and was literally the king, inherent to the rights of the throne of King David. Now according to King David, this Messiah had a queen standing beside him clothed in a vesture of gold. This queen is exhorted to incline thine ear, forget also thine own people, and thy father's house, so shall the king greatly desire thy beauty. For he is thy Lord, and worship thou him. Psalms 45:10-11. Even though she is his queen, yet she is called to worship him as her Lord. If her husband were a mere man, she would not be told to worship him in evidence that he was the Son of God. But more striking than this is the fact that there were other women attending their Lord and King, who were also designated as wives. Here is a photographic copy of an early translation of the Bible. 8. All thy garments smell of myrrh and aloes, and Kalilah, when thou comest out of the Uri palaces where they have made thee glad. 9. King's daughters were among thine honorable wives, upon thy right hand did stand the queen in a vesture of gold of Ophir. 10. Hearken, O daughters, and consider, and incline thine ear. Forget also thine own people and thy father's house. 11. So shall the king have pleasure in thy body, for he is thy Lord, and reverence thou him. Psalms 45 from the Geneva Bible. London edition 1599 AD. And from another early edition of the Bible, we find the same passage translated identically with a marginal notation confirming it. 6. Thy throne, O God, is for ever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a scepter of righteousness. 7. Thou lovest righteousness and hatest wickedness, because God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. 8. All thy garments smell of myrrh and aloes, and Kalilah, when thou comest out of the Uri palaces where they have made thee glad. 9. King's daughters were among thine honorable wives. Upon thy right hand did stand the queen in a vesture of gold of Ophir. 10. Hearken, O daughter, and consider, and incline thine ear. Forget also thine own people and thy father's house. 11. So shall the king have pleasure in thy body, for he is thy Lord, and reverence thou him. 12. Ask the daughter of Tyrus with the rich of the people, shall do homage before thy face with presents. 13. The king's daughter is all glorious within, her clothing is of broidered gold. 14. She shall be brought into the king in raiment of needlework, the virgins that follows after her, and her companions shall be brought unto thee. 15. With joy and gladness shall they be brought. Though he had many king's daughters among his wives, yet he loved Pharaoh's daughter best. The Book of Psalms from a Church of England Bible published in London in 1636. When King James had a translation of the Bible made, the translators were not willing to make a literal translation of this passage because it would countenance polygamy. So, they altered this wording to honorable women instead of wives. But those who are acquainted with the original language can see that the earlier translators have given the correct translation. Although all the wives would be queens, yet one seems to have merited that high station before she was married to the bridegroom. It seems that she was one of the daughters of a king, as mentioned in the psalm. The king's daughter is all glorious within, her clothing is of wrought gold. It is not stated when Jesus was married to this king's daughter, or to any of his other wives, but from what John the Baptist says, he may have been married to some of them previous to John's martyrdom. John wrote, "He that hath the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoiceth greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This my joy therefore is fulfilled. He must increase, but I must decrease." John 3:29-30. Here John is calling Jesus the bridegroom, and mentions that he had a bride. He further indicated that Jesus would continue to increase, but seemed to predict his own martyrdom or decreases. It is also written that Jesus said unto them, Can the children of the Britisher mourn, as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come, when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then shall they fast. Matt. 9:15. Jesus refers to himself as the bridegroom and to his disciples as the children of the Britisher. He, too, was predicting his own martyrdom as John had done. Bible translators have attempted to translate the word wives into anything but what it actually said, so that Jesus could not be considered as a polygamist. It is humorous to read many of these translations of the Bible by noted scholars to see how they evade the issue in their literal translations. Daughters of kings are among your honored women, New International Version. King's daughters are among thy noble ladies, New American Standard. Daughters of kings are among your maids of honor, Jerusalem Bible. King's daughters are among your ladies of honor, Revised Standard. A princess takes her place among the noblest of your women, Oxford, New English. King's daughters are among thy favorites, Holy Scriptures of the Masoretic Text. King's daughters are among your precious ones, the Interlinear Bible. Daughters of kings are among your ladies of honor, New Oxford Annotated Bible. King's daughters are among your concubines, Linsell Bible. King's daughters are among your concubines, Tyndale Bible. Back in 1594 there was a Bible published as a comparative Bible written as a review of other translations. It was prefaced with conferred with the best translations in divers languages. Their final conclusion was that this verse should be translated, King's daughters were among thine honorable wives, upon thy right hand did find the queen in vesture of gold of Ophir. Also, we notice in the parable recorded in Matthew 22 1-14 that the king's son has to be interpreted as being Jesus. The last servants who were sent forth to gather people from the highways and hedges were gathering people so that the wedding was furnished with guests. The bridegroom, the servants, and the guests are all mentioned, and Jesus is the bridegroom. John the Revelator also speaks about the wedding of the Lamb. Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God. Rev. 19:7-9. That bride will continue to be recognized in eternity as well as in time, as stated in John's Revelation. He saw a new earth where the angel of God said, Come hither, I would shew thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. He was taken to a great city called the Holy Jerusalem, where the inhabitants were a great nation of kings who were to reign forever and ever. The streets were of pure gold, and the gates were of precious stone. It was in the midst of the city that the King of kings and Lord of lords sat upon his throne, while upon his right hand stood the queen. The psalmist had also foretold the event of this marriage. CPS 45:17. Again we have another parable concerning the bridegroom. It is written that 10 virgins went forth to meet the bridegroom. See Matt 25 1-13. These 10 girls are not guests of a wedding because there is no mention of any other bride. Neither can the 10 girls be interpreted to be the saints of God, because no one would be left to represent the guests. If we understand them to represent women who were to be wives, then all the rest of the saints would be the guests. These virgins were the honorable wives mentioned by the psalmist, which were taken from among kings' daughters. Whatever interpretation men are comfortable with, they may be discomforted when they are forced to admit that Jesus was using and sanctioning polygamy in this parable.